I don't think Ruby Sapphire is dead. I don't think Sapphire Steel is dead. And I don't think people are capable of learning their lesson because everyone said Emerald Steel was dead, and it clearly wasn't.
Ravensburger has done it. Lorcana has officially put out their first ever set of bans, and naturally, they have banned cards that we have all been complaining about since the start of the set and even before. With cards like Hiram Flaversham that needed to go, some may say, and even FORTISPHERE? So there's clearly a lot to discuss, and we break it all down. But before we do, welcome back to the Lore Chronicles. I am Willoughby's. Thanks for being here. Let us know what you think, but don't forget to watch the whole video first. Enjoy the discussion. They called us crazy. They called us rage baiters. They said we were idiots, that we didn't know what we were talking about. Well, listener, who doesn't know what they're talking about now? Okay? Because as you can see, they have banned FORTISPHERE and HIRAM! Yeah! Maybe I shouldn't be celebrating, but
I'm celebrating. I'm happy.
I just wanted to say we were getting called so many names, and it's not even like a we were right moment, but I do just want to point out clearly something needed to change, and that was the point of all of our videos, was that something needed to change, whatever it was going to be. We offered some suggestions, right? And this is what they went with. So how are you feeling about this change? Are you feeling a little vindicated right now?
Listen, all those things that they were calling us, they were still right, but just not in this instance. Yeah. And I really only wanted Popsicle to be dealt with, but I'm not gonna sit here like people have been doing all day and throw out the 30 other theoretical things, because this is just the reality now. So if you can't handle it, see you later.
Oof. Coming in hot early. Yeah, no, it's true, right? Because I think what's been so funny about this is everybody's been asking for something to go on, and then as soon as it is, it's like, whoa, why didn't they pick this card or this card, and what about this card? And I think the clear thing here is, you know, when they make a move like this is the first ban ever. Obviously they're not going to hit us with 10 cards at once, right? They probably want to ease into things.
I did suggest just getting rid of 408 cards at once.
That's true. That's true. No, you're right. No, but you know, so this is what they've picked for now, and I think if anything, this shows that, you know, they're gonna closely monitor how the meta develops. They're ready and willing to listen to us, the players, to make sure that, you know, our play experience isn't hindered or isn't continuing to be unfun. And if that happens, maybe they'll make some more changes. But yeah, I mean, how are you feeling about this? They banned Hiram, they banned FORTISPHERE. I think FORTISPHERE was a big surprise for a lot of people. Hiram felt a little overtuned for a while since its release. So what are we thinking about this?
I'm more excited to play in Disney Lorcana tournaments, which is a good thing for the game.
Yeah.
I have not been looking forward to playing at all since Set 7 was released.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, I'm actually going to go Set Champs. I just wasn't going to at all. There were too low stakes to be miserable all day.
You know, I think it's crazy that you said that. But I didn't know you were going to say that. We don't plan these things in advance. But I actually was feeling the exact same way. And that's something that, like, I was going to suggest to you as a video topic, is like how my heart hasn't been in Lorcana lately. And I was apprehensive to kind of like really present that as an idea and talk about it, because I didn't want to just be all doom and gloom about this game that we all love. But I think if we're really, you know, being honest with ourselves here, Sapphire was really kind of like putting a damper on this game. You know, like, sure, if you were fortunate enough to be able to pull the cards or, you know, buy the cards, you're having a great time, you're playing the decks. But I think for a lot of us, like for people like me, I've never played Sapphire really before, you know, Set 7. You know, there was just like, it was taking a lot of fun out of the game. And we said that, but we said it was different from when they, you know, had Bucky in the game. It was a different kind of unfun, which is why we felt like they weren't, you know, making any actions. But I think as the set continued to, you know, tick by and weeks continued to pass, and really things just got worse and worse in terms of how it felt, I think this is really like a much needed change, and I think it's gonna really bring a lot of players back just in time for Set Champs, like you mentioned.
Yeah, you know, this is really similar to the set 2 meta, which I think we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
And something that Dan said to me before SSG, which is something that he said during set 2 meta, was if you are not playing like this deck or this deck, then you're just leaving equity on the table. You know, before SSG, I didn't have Sapphire on my radar at all. I was testing every deck that was not Sapphire. And then Friday night at like 11 p.m., I was like, all right, I'm just going to play Sapphire because it's too good not to. And Wochuk threw a tweet out there, which, by the way, helped us because we got paired into someone that he tagged in the tweet and we knew what they were playing. But Wochuk threw a tweet out there of how many people that were just in that room of only 100 and something players who had never, ever picked up Sapphire before, but felt obligated to bring Sapphire. Otherwise, they're kind of just contributing to the pot.
Yeah. And I think worth noting, right? Like you did, congratulations, you top 16 that event. Claps. Out of how do you know how many players it was?
It was 130 something, I believe.
Wow. Yeah. Well, congratulations. Obviously, it's a really cool thing. But yeah, I mean, this is coming from somebody who is it proves top level player. You competed in a top level event, right? There was a lot of big names out there, and you did well. And you didn't want to play Sapphire, but you had to, right? And I think that's like a big problem. And it was like I've been watching everybody's reactions to this, and even seeing like Spessy, who does tournament reports every week, you know, multiple times a week, probably even, saying like he was like, I'm gonna be honest, guys, I didn't really want to report on tournaments anymore because it was kind of boring. You knew that it was gonna be all Sapphire, and the most interesting thing about it was, well, is it, you know, Ruby Sapphire or Sapphire Steel today? And I think that's really like the problem here and why they decided to make such a swift change.
Yeah, Dan posted on YouTube, like where you can post to the community, and was just like, "Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a meta report this week." And like, there were 3 people from TFM in the top 16 of that event, so it's like a shoe-in meta report. And still, he just felt like it wasn't worth players' time to just see the same decks over and over and over.
Yeah, so I think ultimately it's safe to say we personally feel like this is a good change. Oh, I think you feel that way. I don't want to speak for you, but yeah, I think it's safe to say we feel like this is a good change. Again, I do think Hiram makes sense. That one was pretty obvious. In terms of Fortisphere, is there anything that you want to say? I know Steve Warner hopped on Discord a little bit to kind of explain why Fortisphere. Do you want to just like kind of talk a little bit about why that was, and you know why they might not have chosen Popsicle?
Yeah, so I think this was also going to come up later, but something that I quoted that they wrote was Fortisphere was banned because we feel it placed too much emphasis on players using items in steel, which is not aligned with the Ink's core strengths, right? So when I actually just wrote an article for TFM's Metafy about like the strengths of each ink and the ink combinations, and one of the main strengths of steel is its songs, right? So when you are going to pair like sapphire and steel, normally it would just take advantage of you have so much ink that you're going to hardcast these songs, which then makes the songs fair because you're paying the full ink for them. The thing that makes the song mechanic broken is singing, right? And they've made it so that amber steel is the singing ink combination, right? But then when you had Belle and Fortisphere, all of a sudden you had a way better Cinderella. Like one of the things about Cinderella is you can sing with her, but if you didn't actually like take out their only threat in play, you're gonna lose the Cinderella immediately.
Right.
Whereas you're gonna sing with a Belle, take out a character, and then they're gonna most likely have to trade in a character. So you are essentially getting like 2 or 3 for 1 just off of this what's a 1-drop inkable common card.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say Fortisphere is kind of paying for Belle's sins here.
Yeah.
You know, if FORTISPHERE enabled Belle a little too well, and I think nobody was. If I'm being honest, I don't think anybody was expecting them to ban or errata or whatever a new card. That wouldn't make sense. I don't see why they would print a card just to immediately be like, "Oops, our bad, guys." So we knew that it had to be one of these older cards. They're never going to ban something that is fresh in a set. Assuming, right? So I think it
I was
makes
gonna
sense.
say let's not speak in absolutes because people have been speaking in absolutes on our Facebook lately, and I have just been laughing in the background at them with how wrong they are.
That's true. That's true. Cut back to me crashing out about everybody calling us rage baiters. Anyways, so let's get into some commonly asked questions here then, to just kind of talk about the things that we've been seeing the community talk about, and things that the community is curious about. So first up, is why not limit the card to 1 or 2 copies? So I'm assuming this is people are saying, well, why did they ban Hiram? Why didn't they just say you can only have 2 copies of Hiram max in your deck? Is that correct?
Right, or just 1 copy of Hiram in your deck.
Okay, so why not?
Well, okay, so we're gonna ask questions, right? But I'm Big Durn, so I'm only gonna give snarky responses.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, okay.
Okay. So A, this question is stupid. B, B, how awful, like if you have seriously play tested or played in a high level tournament, how awful is it when you have Hiram in your deck and your opponent has Hiram in their deck, but they also have Lil Sisu, Big Sisu, name 16 other cards that just banish things that have a low strength, right? And you're never ever getting to use your Hiram more than once because they are just going to eat it with any random card. Now imagine you have 1 in your deck, your opponent has 1 in their deck. They actually draw theirs, and yours at the bottom of your deck. How much significantly worse is that play experience? It removes so much skill from the game, especially in a deck that does not have tutors. Like this is very common practice in Yu-Gi-Oh, but in Yu-Gi-Oh there are tons of cards that search your deck for cards and put them in your hand, right? This is what a tutor is for anyone that doesn't know. So you are just going to end up either dominating your opponent when you draw one of these busted cards, or your opponent is going to end up dominating you, and it's removing even more skill from the game. Do you have anything I missed?
No, I completely agree. I think also it just feels like you're either going to do it or you're not, right? We're banning the card or we are not. I don't think there's any reason to like kind of half commit to the ban. The card is what it is. It's either allowed in play or it isn't, and I think it's way more complicated and annoying. And then it just kind of messes with, you know, Lorcana's like baseline rules of you can only have, you know, 4 cards in a deck. I know that they purposely do that with some cards, but that's like stated on the card, you know, like, and I think there's only 2 examples of that right now, Glass Slipper and Puppies,
and those are for flavor.
Right.
Honestly.
Right. You know, nobody's playing 99 Dalmatians in their deck, although some have tried. Okay. Next up, we've got, yeah. So we actually just talked about this, was the quote in which Steve Warner said, it placing too much emphasis in steel. I think you covered that beautifully. So we'll move right along. Okay. So what about when Ruby Amethyst dominated the Rise of the Floodborn meta? Well, what specifically are they asking here? Like, why wasn't it banned?
Yeah, why was nothing hit then, but something is hit now? Okay. And I will say, you're right. What about when we didn't have official tournaments? So I don't know why Ravensburger would have cared then. Moving on.
Well, this is Big Durns, guys. Just keep in mind this Big Durns. Well, but also, like, I think also what goes along with this point is so many people for so long have like hated Ruby Amethyst, have hated Ruby Amethyst. And people always say like, oh, they just want Ruby Amethyst to be on top. Anytime another deck is on top, they just nerf it. So it's funny. I don't think that's intentional. I think it just points to they just really like, it seems they do think Ruby Amethyst is balanced, and they think that play style is appropriate levels of fun for the game. And I think that is like makes sense to me when you consider that a lot of the times Ruby Amethyst hasn't gotten new cards since set 2, realistically, right? You get one
Right.
of, like you get one brawl per set. Okay, so they got one, 4 of, or a genie, sometimes like we'll get something. But even then it's like people were cutting genies and going back to rabbits, right? So when you consider that deck, it's not like that deck is getting power crept in the same way that something like Ruby Sapphire was. It makes sense why they're not touching Ruby Amethyst, in my opinion. But also, yeah, didn't even have official tournaments back then.
Yeah, if there was a DLC during set 2, I would say this is what I would say. I would say, all right, whoever made Madam Mim Snake and Madam Mim Fox clearly by the stats on this card thought returning a card to your hand was a downside, and they're delusional. But at this point in the game, like, it's not even the best. It wasn't even the best deck during set 6. Like, it wasn't the best deck during set 5. Even at DLC Atlanta, half the people on TFM thought Amethyst Steel was just a better version of Ruby Amethyst. Most of the people that were still on Ruby Amethyst either just like really loved that deck, had some kind of monetary incentive for that deck, only owned that deck, or couldn't win without Be Prepared. Crickets.
Crickets. Next up, we have, if any cards can get banned whenever, I'm quitting the game. What do you say to those people?
I know. I sent you this list of questions. I know it. And I just have nothing to say to these people. I don't understand. Bye. That's what I have to say. Bye. Goodbye. It's like it's like the people that threaten to like move to Canada, and then you see them at Publix 2 weeks later. Sure, you're quitting. Sure, we care. Everyone cares that you're quitting. All right, see you later.
I think it's safe to say bans are healthy for the game, and make sure that state of play is where the devs intended it to be, and that everybody's having a good time, which we talked about in our errata video, where they specifically said they want it to be fun. So moving on. Okay, so why do this when we have no official events? Meaning we have no word on Worlds, really, is what people are saying. Yeah. Again,
no Worlds, no DLCs. I can't think of a better time to shake up the game. Imagine if everyone was preparing for a DLC in 2 weeks. I don't understand this question either, and I saw it 10, 20, 30 times. I don't know. I felt like I was in Twilight Zone where it just kept repeating. Like, today was Groundhog's Day. This is the perfect time to shake up the game because there's no official events. And not only that, like, we have set championships. Guess what? The people that are playing in set championships, to some degree, are more important to the people that are playing in DLC or World Championships to the game itself. And that's just a fact. Okay?
There can only be 32 players that play in Worlds, right? They're not concerned about...
I think it's like 28 right now.
Yeah.
But
it's like... They're not concerned about those 28 players and how, well, what if, Sapphire is broken? They're concerned about people like us who are going to go to set champs or not go to set champs and stop playing the game and sell out of Lorcana. I knew people who were selling their Lorcana collections or trying to sell them because they were like, I just can't keep up with the Sapphire stuff. I can't afford it. I don't want to play it. It's not fun. So that's who they're more concerned about. Right. And you're right. Why would they do it when we're all in the middle of a DLC? That makes it more complicated for what the rules are for what's allowed there. So, yeah.
Yeah, there are far more people who will play in set championships than there are that play in Disney Lorcana challenges. That's just a fact. A lot of people, this is, at the end of the day, this is a hobby, okay? And this is a business. Ravensburger has a business providing things to these hobbyists, okay? That's going to be their number one priority at all times. I didn't write it on here, but like, I don't know how many times I heard the name Bucky today, which again, the win rates don't matter. No, what matters is people being miserable and not wanting to buy cards. That is the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
Also, if you're a content creator out there and you're complaining about this, just quit making content, because like this is an alley-oop, like slam dunk concept to make a video on. It's insane. I'm just calling on everyone. I don't care.
You're making enemies right now, and you're dragging me along with you. So
no, you know what? You know who I'm gonna praise is Ravensburger, because like I'm sure they knew that they were going to take heat
Oh yeah.
for God knows how long, and they still did it. I've also never played a game where the like game developers will then go live and answer all of the stupid questions that people have
Oh my
instead
god.
of just like posting it and being like, live with it, losers. You know, like they actually seem to have cared about feedback and stuff like that. I couldn't believe they've subjected themselves to this. So like everyone working at Ravensburger, thank you. I appreciate you.
You're making Lorcana enemies. I love peace and everyone in the community, and I do not approve of Bic Durns' evil nature here. All right, moving along. We have having this done immediately makes it so that the events I'm going to this weekend I am not prepared for. Meaning they said this change is inactive immediately. So if you're supposed to play tomorrow and this change came out today, you got to take Hiram out of the deck and you got to find something else to do. So what do you say to that?
Ravensburger does not care about the third-party events that you are attending this weekend.
It's true. It's true.
Like complaining to Ravensburger about you traveling to an event that they are not hosting is irrelevant. They don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. No one wants to hear about it.
Oh my god. Next up. Okay, here we go. This is the last one we have on the list. Players a month ago. We just had the most diverse format in the history of Disney Lorcana, aside from maybe DLC Atlanta. And now we have to play Sapphire. Bleh. Players now, after the Hiram ban. Wow, we can't play Sapphire, so now the game's going to be degenerate and unfair. What do you have to say?
I don't understand. And I know these are the same people. These are the same exact people. Okay? I know who you are. I see you tweeting out there. Okay? I see you in your little Discords.
Oh.
Like, they're like, all, like, as Ink Geysers spoiled. Game's broken. TAMATOA is spoiled. Game's broken. Belle's spoiled. Game's broken. The only one they're right about is Sapphire Coil. That's broken.
That's
okay?
broken.
That's still a problem. If anyone watched my SSG interview, Skinner says, "What's your plan against Sapphire Coil?" And I say, "Oh, I have a great plan against Sapphire Coil." They play it, and I go get Dominoes. There's no other plan against that. You know, I can banish it, and they're just gonna get it back with TAMATOA. So what's the point? But anyway, yeah, I see the same exact players who were saying, "Wow, set 6 meta was the best meta we've ever had. So diverse. You could play any deck. Every single deck was amazing, and you could win a tournament with any deck in the room." And now they're like, "Oh, this format's awful. We can only play Sapphire. If you don't play Sapphire, you can't win." All of a sudden, people don't want to play Sapphire anymore. Well, Diablo's just going to win every tournament. Well, Ruby Amethyst is just going to win every tournament now. I keep going. Like, people laughed and said Diablo was a joke because Genie was in the format. All of a sudden, you could play Genie again. You could play your uninkable 2/4, right? That draws a card because you don't have an inkable 1/6 that draws 4 cards on average.
Right.
Like, and not only that, people were cutting Genies because no one was playing the Diablo decks. Like,
Right.
we're kind of just going back to the other format, right? In some degrees, the other format that was so well loved and so amazing. And now all of a sudden it's a degenerate format. I heard no complaints about this format for 3 months, and now I don't want to go back to that. It's insane.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think at the end of the day, people just love to complain, and that's really what it is, right? Like, nobody wants to be happy. It's more fun for them to have excuses, have reasons why they can't win, or have reasons why they don't want to play, or something is not bad. It's just like, rather than actually be like, oh, cool, we made something new and we get to try out new cards and have fun playing Lorcana again. You know, it's like there's always going to be something that to these people Ravensburger is not doing enough of, or not acting quick enough for. And like, sometimes I hate talking about stuff like this because it's really not that like we are afraid to critique Ravensburger. We are happy to we're happy to critique them. Realistically, we have. You know, like for a while, we didn't think anybody from Ravensburger would ever even give our videos the time of day, you know? So like, we're happy to like say when they've messed up, and we called out their mistakes with Sapphire a million times. We made 3 different videos on this stuff. But you know, that doesn't mean now we just get to point to the next thing and say, well, now this is the next thing. I get to catastrophize and say it's terrible. You know, sometimes we get to just let things be and breathe and see what's gonna come out of it. And if you're worried about Diablo, I have a card for you. I know a really cool girl. She revealed a card for this set named Helga Sinclair, and I think you guys should really look into her channel and that card if you're so worried about Diablo.
You just want people to bring her to DLCs for you to sign.
No, but seriously though, I really do think like there's Diablo answers. There has been Diablo answers for a while now. Yes, the card is strong, and maybe the card will be broken. I don't know. Personally, I think Prince John is like more of a problem than like Diablo is, but yeah. You know, like so the point is we can always point to more cards that we don't like. Let's get creative with our deck building first. Let's give this a try, see how it goes. And if there's truly a problem, you don't have to be upset. You can rest easy knowing that they will make that change, right? Because like you said, they did sit there, answer our questions, and read our feedback, and listen to our feedback, and make this change in the first place, right? It's just crazy. The same people who are like, well, you know, the game's ruined all over again, they hit the wrong cards, are the same people that don't think, well, they're willing to make changes in the first place. So if it gets bad again, they will fix it. You know what I mean? I just think we need a little bit more faith in the people designing this game, perhaps.
And listen, you know, 75% of people that comment haven't gotten this far along in the video anyway.
Right.
But the amount of comments in the video where I specifically said I would ban nothing, but if I did have to ban something, it would be Popsicle. Like, the amount of people that commented, well, let's not jump the gun. Let's see how things shake out. It's the day of. Like, I don't know when this is going to get edited. It's the day of the reveal. I haven't seen anyone say, well, let's just see how these bands shake out. Like, everyone is just like, these are awful and
no, you're right.
Stupid.
You're right. All the same people that were like, oh, learn to adapt, get better, let the meta breathe. I've not seen any of those people be like, guys, just relax, let the meta breathe. They're just like, this is terrible. So, yeah.
I should also say, like, the people that I've seen that were like, I've been playing Blue Steel since set 1. I can't believe they've done this to me. I mean, you can still play your old Blue Steel deck. Like, it was just a different deck now, but you could still just play the whole New World version, and you're not feeding a lot of Ruby Sapphire like you were previously. Like, that version might just be better. That's another thing, is like, when Bucky was errated, okay, there's like one guy at my locals who just cannot play any other deck except for Bucky, and I said to him, like, dude, the deck is better now. Like, Green Steel is better now. And then like Dale, Zan, all the other Green Steel players proved that in Vegas. Like, what ended up happening was the deck went from any person who doesn't even understand the game can just nut draw you and win with the deck to, oh, this is like a very skill intensive deck, and the people who had a higher skill level who were able to navigate difficult situations won with the deck. I don't think Ruby Sapphire is dead. I don't think Sapphire Steel is dead. And I don't think people are capable of learning their lesson, because everyone said Emerald Steel was dead, and it clearly wasn't.
Right. Yeah, these decks just have to change, and their win conditions look a little different. But that doesn't mean that they aren't viable. It's just gonna, you just got to get back into the kitchen, right, and keep cooking. And Sailor and Zan and whoever else are going to try these decks and figure out what works, or figure out what might be potentially better in its absence. So
shout out to DKP, who won a DLC with like 3 Hirams in his deck and has recently been playing Ruby Sapphire with 2 Hirams in his deck. It's like, and the Hirams were not a key piece at all to his Shark deck. Like,
no.
What, that's like, that deck's just dead now because a card that he wasn't even utilizing to its fullest potential is banned? Like, The community is crazy.
So,
Anyway, I'm gonna turn off evil Big Turns now.
oh, great. Hey,
All
welcome
right, Dick's
back.
back. What did I miss?
Well, it got a little intense, but I think we're all gonna be okay in the end. You're back just in time to thank everybody so much for watching the video and to
Oh yeah.
remind them that
Thanks everybody. Hey, don't forget to comment and subscribe.
no way! You've never said that before. Oh my god, I'm gonna use that for every video. I'm clipping it up, using it for every video. He's never said that ever. So you heard the man. Please make sure to subscribe. Only like 11% of you are subscribed who are watching this video. So please, to the other 88%, click the button. Takes 2 seconds, helps us out a lot. Like it, leave a comment after you finish watching. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yep. Hey, wait. Special shout out everyone at SSG that came up to me and talked to me. I really appreciate it. There were some people that said that they were like kind of intimidated to meet me. I don't know why. I don't know what personality I project online, but I'm telling you, I love to meet all of you.
Oh, you blacked out when it happened. It was Bick Derns. He's really giving you a bad name.
Dick was here?